Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, Israel helps Jordan and Egypt fight the Islamic State. Israeli immigrants come together to celebrate a special new holiday, and you won't believe who's claiming ownership over the world's oldest Passover Haggadah. I'm Natasha Kirchak here with the latest news in Israel. Israel has confirmed that it's been providing Jordan and Egypt with intelligence assistance in their fight against the Islamic State, and it looks like their help has made a positive impact. IDF Major General Yair Golan told foreign reporters that its US-backed Arab neighbors are stable despite the Islamic State's insurgent threat. Israel has peace treaties with both Egypt and Jordan, but it's very rare to hear official confirmation that the Jewish state is cooperating with both Arab nations on security matters. Many Egyptians and Jordanians are not happy with their country's peace ties with Israel, so Amman and Cairo are generally quiet about their diplomatic relationships. But now Israeli General Golan has made it clear that the countries have been working with Israel as they try to beat back the Islamic State, and Israeli intelligence is playing a major role.
Egypt fights the Islamic State in the Sinai Peninsula. Jordan is terrifying by the presence of the Islamic State in Jordan cities and towns, and we try to work with them in order to contribute something to their security, mainly by providing our intelligence. And you do know that while fighting all sorts of insurgency, intelligence is the most important element in the whole system.
While General Golan has described the military cooperation as unprecedented, he says he wouldn't describe it as a reconciliation between Israel and the Jordanian and Egyptian people. Yet he's expressed the hope that the security cooperation will improve Israel's image in Egypt and Jordan, and is optimistic that the moderate Arab states can overcome their security challenges, even though there's still much work to be done.
My impression is that Jordan is stable. And I think that the Jordanians do understand their challenges, and they do understand what has to be done, and they work hard in order to make it come true. I'm quite optimistic about the future of Egypt. But I think that we are going to experience, or they are going to experience, crisis along the way.
Israel and Singapore have a long history of security cooperation, and the two countries have especially close military ties. Yet until now, no Singaporean head of state has ever made an official visit to Israel. This week, for the first time in history, the Prime Minister of Singapore visited the Holy Land, and he expressed his gratitude towards Israel for helping his country.
We're very grateful to Israel that when independence was thrust upon us in August 1965, and when Singapore's security and survival were in doubt, you helped us, the IDF helped us, to build up the Singapore Armed Forces when other countries turned us down.
The relationship between Israel and Singapore all started when the IDF helped build up the Singapore Armed Forces in 1965, as the country attempted to gain independence from Malaysia. To many, their close military ties seemed impossible given Singapore's location in a Muslim-dominated region. But over the years, Israel and Singapore have managed to maintain close security cooperation. Today, the two countries share military platforms, including anti-aircraft missile systems and surveillance technologies. Their economic ties have blossomed and now include around $1.35 billion in trade, as well as extensive academic and cultural ties. On Tuesday, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu welcomed Singaporean leader Lee Hsien Loong to Israel, and reflected on the long history between their two nations.
This is truly a historic occasion. I'm honored to be the first Israeli Prime Minister to welcome a Prime Minister of Singapore to our country. I think your arrival here reflects a coming of age of the relations between our two countries. There's a deep friendship between Israel and Singapore. We have so much in common.
Israeli officials say it's a big deal that Prime Minister Lee was willing to visit Israel now, since in the past most of Singapore's leaders were concerned about how such a visit would be seen by their Muslim-majority neighbors Indonesia and Malaysia. Yet Prime Minister Lee arrived for a 5-day trip with a 60-member delegation, and he even met with Palestinian leaders. The Singaporean leader has expressed his concern for the standstill in the Israeli-Palestinian peace process.
We also watch carefully from a distance the Israel-Palestine problem and the Middle East peace process, and the progress or lack of progress on these issues. We are concerned about the situation as many countries around the world are. We wish Israel well. We are friends with both Israel and Palestine. We hope that you will be able to resume negotiations and make progress towards a just and durable solution to a long-standing and complex conflict. And we hope to see a two-state solution with Israel and Palestine living side by side in peace and security one day.
Now Israel has found a new way to celebrate the special individuals who make the big move by creating a new holiday called Yom HaAliyah. The new national holiday isn't yet official, but new immigrants and native Israelis are celebrating anyway. Hundreds came together this week to celebrate Yom HaAliyah, which marks the profound impact that immigration to Israel has had on the Jewish state since its establishment in 1948. A grassroots movement led by the organization Tel Aviv Internationals has managed to garner support from members of Knesset across the political spectrum to make the holiday a reality in Israel. And a bill to give Yom HaAliyah legal status may soon be approved. The Hebrew date of Yom HaAliyah is the 10th day of the Jewish month of Nisan, which naturally coincides with Israel's first mass immigration in 1273 BCE, when Joshua led the children of Israel over the Jordan River and into the land of Israel. Apparently, people have been celebrating Yom HaAliyah for years now, but on Sunday, people from all different sectors of Israeli society gathered at a bar in Tel Aviv to drink to the happy event. Jay Schultz is the founder of Tel Aviv International, and he joins us to tell us more. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So first, tell us about this. How did you guys come up with the idea for Yom HaAliyah?
Well, we're obsessed with Aliyah. I mean, we're obsessed with every young Jew in the world taking Aliyah in Israel seriously. And, you know, in Israel, whenever you have a holiday, that gives the media, the PR, an excuse to talk about it. Right. And we want Jews in Israel and Jews around the world to have Aliyah on their brain as they're entering Leila Seder, as they say, L'Shana Haba Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. Maybe this year they mean it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what was the response that you got from, the government when you were trying to get this law passed?
Sure. So thankfully, tremendous. The opposition, the coalition, left, right, and center, got behind this and got behind this fast. We really had no problems at all getting Likud and Avodah to work together, which doesn't happen easy.
Right. This is something that everybody kind of was in agreement for, and you had this big party, and you had people from every, party coming and showing their support. So good for you guys.
Aliyah is one of those rare things for the Jewish people in Israel that is a story for all of us. It's one of those threads that divides nothing. It really brings us all together. Every single one of us has an Aliyah story in our family, an Oleh story, whether it's you who came here a few months ago or your great-great-grandfather that came here. Aliyah is both unique to the Jewish people and unique to all of us being here.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I made Aliyah, my grandparents made Aliyah, my parents made Aliyah, so it's very interesting. Now, you yourself actually immigrated to Israel 10 years ago.
Yeah, sure.
So can you tell us a little bit about that experience and how it influenced what you do today?
Listen, I came here from New York. In New York, I was involved in so many different organizations for young Jews. But when I showed up in Tel Aviv 10 years ago, it was not only weird to be a young English speaker in Tel Aviv, it was a real vacuum of young international life, but there was really no community basket, nothing for young professionals, 20s and 30s, to really get involved in. And I came to Israel to be a pioneer. I came to Israel to roll up my sleeves, band together with my peers to make this place more amazing.
And that's how you founded Tel Aviv International.
That's really why I founded it. I founded it because, A, we needed a community basket, a community cushion, so whenever people like you show up here, you have support. And the community becomes your friends and family because you moved here without friends and family. But more than that, we wanted to be a lighthouse, a magnet telling young Jews around the world, Tel Aviv is the most important thing happening in the Jewish world. This place needs you. Come home.
Right, and so you know that you come here and you're not alone, and there's so many other people that are actually kind of going through the same process that you're going through.
Sure.
So, in your opinion, is it harder or easier nowadays to make Aliyah and to come to Israel?
I think that's an easy question.
Okay.
There's never been an easier time in history for a Jew to live in the land of Israel than today. It wasn't easier 100 years ago, not 20 years ago. And the reason it's easier today is because people came before us, before you and I, and worked really hard and suffered to make this place incredible. And today, and really recently, you can move to Israel and not be a martyr. And that's a new story. And so it makes the responsibility for people like you and I even greater to say, wow, our grandchildren, that generation, it should be even better because you and I worked hard to make it so.
Absolutely. So now, for somebody who's considering coming and making Aliyah, moving to this country, what advice would you give them? What do you think they should know?
Come with the pioneering lens. Yes, Israel's amazing. Yes, Tel Aviv is incredible. But this country started 67 years ago. 67 years in a country is like 3 days. And we're still in the pioneering phase of this country, for good and for bad. Meaning, we need pioneers here because there's no problems in Israel. There's vacuums, things that need to be filled, things that need to be done. Conversely, if you don't come here wanting to be a pioneer, if you think it's just going to be your life in New York, but over in the Middle East, you're mistaken.
Yeah, it's not going to be the case. Now, it's Passover coming up tomorrow. We have the big dinner. What do you think is the coolest thing for an Oleh Hadash, a new immigrant here, to do for the holidays?
Yeah, sure, easy. One of our other organizations is called White City Shabbat. It is the main portal for Shabbat, Jewish life in Tel Aviv for young Olim. We're doing a 200-person young Olim, young lonely soldier Seder. English, Hebrew.
There you go.
That's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. Well, thank you so much for coming in. It sounds great what you guys are doing, and I'm excited to celebrate Yom Aliyah next year.
Amen. Hag Sameach.
Chag Sameach. We have an interesting story for you just in time for Passover. You might not know it, but the world's oldest illustrated Passover manuscript sits in the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. The famed Bird's Head Haggadah has been part of the museum for decades, but that may soon change. The grandchildren of a Jewish Holocaust victim are laying claim to the historical jewel, and they claim it was stolen from their family during the Nazi era around 70 years ago. The Bird's Head Haggadah tells a biblical tale of the Israeli exodus from Egypt, and it has long peeved scholars with its odd drawings of Jewish figures with bird-like heads. Now, a whole new confusing page in the medieval manuscript is about to be written, as the descendants of a German Jewish lawmaker say the manuscript was stolen from their family during World War II. 75-year-old Israeli Eli Barzilai is reportedly seeking less than $10 million in retribution for his family. The Haggadah was written in southern Germany around the year 1300 by a scribe identified as Menachem. Barzilai claims a 14th century Haggadah was a wedding gift from his grandmother's family to his grandfather Ludwig Marum, a lawyer who served in Germany's parliament and opposed Hitler. The Nazis apparently took Marum away to the Kislev concentration camp and killed him. Years later, another Jewish lawyer who worked with Marum managed to flee Germany to Israel. And when he arrived in the Holy Land, he read an article in an Israeli newspaper about a special Haggadah purchased by an Israeli museum. The lawyer recognized it as a Bird's Head Haggadah, which Marum had kept in his office in Germany, and he immediately began to look into how it ended up in Israel. Decades later, Marum's family has finally decided to go after the museum for purchasing the Haggadah without their consent. The manuscript is currently being displayed behind glass in Jerusalem's Israel Museum for a special Passover exhibit. And now for our Hebrew word of the day. It's that time of year, and most Israelis are preparing for the biggest dinner of the year, the Passover feast. So today's word is arochat erev, which means dinner in Hebrew. On Passover, it's not surprising to see thousands of Israelis racing around their local supermarkets to make last-minute purchases. And it's even less of a shocker to get stuck in back-to-back traffic as hungry families make their way to their family's Passover arochat erev. Of course, Passover dinner isn't the only dinner that Israelis get excited about. Let's just say that food is a connecting factor in the Middle East, especially among Jews. It's almost impossible to get out of a Jewish mother's kitchen without a full stomach. After all, there's nothing like going home for a good home-cooked Shabbat arochat erev. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. The weekend is finally here, and so is Passover dinner. Friday is expected to be mostly sunny with a high of 81 degrees. The temperature should stay the same throughout Saturday, so it will be a perfect weekend to spend outdoors. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.76 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv, and don't forget to check out our evening update every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tonight.